watching your journey the last, last couple months, the last year has been fascinating. And we're going to get into a number of things, but we recently spoke, and it's the first time we get to actually be together in person. You're watching droves of young people come to Jesus, and you're just showing up, you're speaking, you're sharing the gospel. How has this changed you on the whole?
Wow, this whole year, everything that's happened, I just think God is in the business of moving in a really unique way right now on earth. And for some reason, I've been given a great seat. Like, I'm sitting up front. I mean, I was at Asbury. Before Asbury was everywhere. Like, I'd hopped on a plane and gone to see it before all the people arrived. And then, this whole movement with college students, and then prisons. I've been in this crazy revival moments with prisons too. So I kind of just feel in awe, honestly. I feel like I'm standing in the midst of the wonder and awe of God. And it really is beautiful and amazing. And I think old me would have looked at my year and thought to myself, like, oh, awesome. Like, this is great. Like, this will be so exciting. And I don't feel that way. I feel very grounded. I feel humbled. I just feel like my belief in God is stronger than it's ever been, because he's just, I see him everywhere.
And you're just showing up. I mean, you have shown up to do, and we were just talking about this off camera,
Yeah.
but you've shown up to do what God called you to do. And I think a lot of us struggle with that sometimes.
Yeah.
Could you have ever imagined that it would be this? I mean, the past year, you were just on a campus, a number of campuses, but one of them, you had 7,000 kids show up, a couple thousand embracing Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that feel like?
Yeah. I think about what I've learned, I guess, in the midst of it is just say yes. Just say yes. I really do think it's probably my only qualification.
Just showing up and saying yes?
I really do. I just have said yes. And I think with Gather and all of the risk that contained for me, I just think he has been so faithful. And I've just learned, like, it's the life we want. We want to be on this adventure. We want to be, for me, it feels like I'm Lucy on the back of a lion, like Aslan, and we're riding through Narnia, and I don't know what's coming. And it is certainly sometimes terrifying, but I love this. I think we are all, I don't think I'm special. I think every single one of us is supposed to say yes to whatever God calls us to. And as we do that, usually for me, the cliff jumping has gotten higher and higher, and the risk has gotten more and more, but it always proves worth it. And I want for the rest of my life for that to have been true of me, that, put it on my tombstone, that she said yes. Like, I just think that is the key and secret, and anyone can do that. Anyone can say yes to whatever God calls them to.
Well, it's not about us, and that's the part. I think we get really, as human beings. I mean, I do this all the time. You think about, okay, well, how does this benefit me, or how can I grow my platform or whatever. It's not about that, though.
No.
And saying yes is sort of admitting it's not about that.
No, I would say, in fact, most of the decisions I've made in the last few years, at least at the beginning, have felt like the opposite. I mean, certainly now, those things, a lot of those things have gone viral and been shared. But in the moment, it feels like I'm risking those things. And I would say to even some of the people that are involved in my work life, they've said that. Like, are you sure you want to turn directions here? And this isn't going to pay what this is.
Right.
These are the decisions that, but I've learned to just, my life theme verses are Hebrews 12. Run the race that's set before you, fixing your eyes on Jesus, throwing off the burden and the sin that so easily entangles. And I'm just done with making decisions based on what the world thinks. I just want, we either live for this world or we live for heaven. I don't think it's really hard to do both. I don't know many people that do both. And so my mode has really shifted where I'm like, I'm going to do what you say. And honestly, at some point, and many points in the past, doing what he says has cost things. So I don't want it to seem like, oh, if you obey God, then all these things are going to succeed.
It's not easy. I mean, it's not easy.
Yeah, and I think even in that, it's like, I think perhaps he's more after me being sanctified in it all and trusting him more and depending on him more than it is about all of these big things. I really think, I really think he would do that.
Yeah.
He would take me out to the edge, and just to teach me I can trust him.
Well, and the example you're setting in the process of this, I think, is for other people to say yes, for other people to see, okay, if I show up,
Yeah.
what can God do, right?
Yeah.
If I show up for him. And that's what you're seeing again and again and again. Yeah, let's talk about Gather and the history of it. What was the impetus going back to you saying, I want to launch this?
Well, let me just say, first of all, that I know this will sound crazy to some people because, I have never been one. I'm not saying I've not believed in dreams and visions from God,
Sure.
but I've never been one that's had dreams and visions from God. And a few years ago, a friend prayed the night that I had this dream that I would hear from God on some pretty big things, pivotal things with my ministry. And dreamed that Jesus was coming back in 10 years. And again, I have no idea when he is coming back. Would never claim that. But I mean, I can't help that I vividly dreamed he was coming back. And what that did for me was just put an urgency in me. And the thought of what would we do if he were coming back and we knew it in now 8 years, this was in 2022, 2023. If he were coming back in 8 years, then what would we do? And how would we live? And I just thought, in the moments that I woke up, we should gather the entire global church. And just, it's been so sweet because people just said yes. And I don't think anybody knew what they were saying yes to either, and I think that's just so fun. It's like this giant group trusting project,
We're going to do it, but we don't know.
We're going
right?
to do it, but we have no idea. And I mean, we're talking about, continents that are, continental leaders, Christian leaders that are hosting and all of these things that were very costly for them. And it's so cool because they're grateful. They're like, thank you for letting us be part of this. I think people are hungering to work together. I think people are hungering to see a move of God on earth. I think we're all kind of over the posturing and politicizing of religion. I think we all are craving a real, true movement of God. And I think that's why people are saying yes. And then I think the Lord is good at when he wants something to happen.
Yeah.
He makes it happen. And that's what I feel. I feel along for this ride. I don't feel especially like the leader of it. I feel like the steward of it. And I'm just watching him do what only he could do.
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at culture and sort of the ebbs and the flows. And I think the last, 10, 20 years, the feeling like Christianity is losing, and this is culturally, not Christianity is never going to lose, right? But that feeling, and then suddenly people realizing maybe, oh, we haven't been told the truth, or, I haven't heard the truth, and now I'm hearing it. And like, that's so appealing to me.
It makes me so sad and angry because, and I so appreciate you like continuing to tell the stories that I'm seeing, because it makes me so sad and angry that people don't know like how much good is happening and how many people are trusting the Lord and how much good is happening in the greater world, right? I mean, you look at the underground church, you look at the people most persecuted for their faith, which is the stories we told at Gather over and over again. They are smiling. In fact, I told my editors, I was like, I think people are going to forget. We're going to have to remind them halfway through the story that this guy could get killed any minute for what he's doing because he's just smiling like he's at summer camp.
Yeah.
And yet every door he knocks on, every time he shares the gospel, his life is on the line. And I think we aren't hearing those stories, and so we're losing our way. We're losing our focus. We're losing our edge,
Yeah.
And I think they inspire that in us.
Absolutely. And it's sort of like a snowball, and then you want to know more, and you want to know more, and so that's why it's important to tell
And
the
then your
story.
faith grows, right? Because look at the Bible. What do they do all the time? Remember. They were telling stories like the whole time. The Israelites were reminding their people of the stories. We need more of the stories of what God is doing on earth, and I'm so grateful for you because you have always told them, and
Well, I
CBN has always
appreciate
told
that.
them, and I really appreciate that.
And that's what we have to do. That's what we're called to. So Gather 25, when you look at this, what do you want the end result, the legacy of this year's event to be?
Easy. A renewed passion for souls. An awakening to all that God is. Because it will happen. That when you look at, and you can go back and watch it all. We've got it for free on our site. Go to everybodyeverywhere.com or gather25.com. And when you go and you start watching, what you're going to see will build your faith. You will realize we're part of a really big team. that is spread out all over the earth, even in Antarctica. We had at least four
Wow.
groups of people meeting in Antarctica. There's only 1,000 people in Antarctica right now. It's just there's 6 churches there,
Wow.
and we show that story of the churches in Antarctica. The ends of the earth are worshiping God. The church is thriving. The church has never been bigger than it is right now. You can debate all day long about how it's doing in America. By the way, New York Times recently covered that it is making a comeback. It is no longer going down.
Yep.
And so I can make a debate about America and where that's headed.
Sure.
And I think it's revival time
Yeah.
here. But you cannot deny that on earth right now, we are larger than we've ever been. 2.5 billion people say they're Christians. That's a big team that can cause a lot of good. That working together could reach the 5.5 billion that don't know Jesus yet, right? That's
Yeah.
the goal. So the goal is a renewed passion for souls, that we would walk away from any touching of this content, any moment that you get to see, and all of a sudden your heart is ablaze. That your heart is ablaze for God again, and that your heart is ablaze for souls, that you would care that people you pass every day are perishing. And we have the hope of the world. We have it.
That dream you had, just as we close,
Yeah.
it sparks that urgency. If you really believe Jesus is coming back, what are you going to
does.
do about the people in your life, the people around you, even the strangers who don't know who he is?
It was not a good dream. Everybody would think you dreamed Jesus coming back. Oh my gosh, that's the best news. It was bad news, because we had so much work to do. And so many people are perishing. And that is my hope and prayer, is that we all would wake up to that would not be unique to me or to those that are called to ministry. We are all called to take the gospel to every person we can. And if we all did that, easy, we'd reach them all.
We'd reach
We'd
them
reach them all.
Well,
Yeah.
Jennie, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it
Yes.
today.
So grateful for you.